In the 19th century, around the time of Darwin, his great bulldog, Thomas Henry Huxley, said the cell is a simple homogeneous globule of undifferentiated protoplasm. And when scientists thought that the cell was a simple enclosure of jello like that, it was pretty easy to imagine how with one or two simple chemical reactions, that protoplasmic substance that was, they thought, the essence of life might have come into existence in a completely undirected way. But as we've learned more and more about the interior workings of the cell, and there's much more to discover, and that would be some of the eureka things that I'd hope to learn about in the future. But we've now learned that the cell is not only contains digital information, that digital information is part of a complex information storage, transmission, and processing system that rivals, in fact, exceeds anything we've developed in our own high-tech digital computing world. A couple years ago, our friend opposite, Professor Dawkins, said that he was knocked sideways with wonder at the miniaturized intricacy of the data processing system inside the living cell. Now, that's not the kind of thing that you would expect to arise by undirected chemical processes. And in fact, there is an impasse in what's called origin of life research today, precisely because no one can explain how you get from chemistry to that kind of intricate code and the whole system for processing it. Now, as far as what I would hope to see in the future, we've now learned that the information in DNA is not in any way the whole story. There must be other information inside living cells and inside the whole process by which animals are developed. And so I'm very eager to see what we discover in the future about the higher levels of information. We do know that life, it represents a hierarchically organized system of information storage and processing, but we don't know where all the necessary information is to, for example, build an animal form.
Right. So talking of cells, Cambridge University scientists only this week actually released an incredible image showing one of the most detailed 3D reconstructions of a human cell ever produced. And people say that this points towards intelligent engineering rather than random chance. What are we looking at here? I mean, for those who are not as skilled in this kind of thing as you are, what are we looking at?
Well, it looks like we have a cross-section of the cell, and in that cross-section, we're able to see a dynamic representation of the movements of the various cellular organelles. And the organelles are structures within the cell, but at an even more fine-grained level, if you go down further, and that this looks like a eukaryotic cell, so this one would have a nucleus. Inside the nucleus would be that DNA protein synthesis system, whereby the instructions on the DNA would build the molecular machines made of proteins and the protein enzymes that are necessary to process the information in DNA, but also to catalyze at very rapid rates all the necessary reactions that keep cells alive. So you now, molecular biologists will very quickly, and cell biologists will kind of start to wax lyrical and describe the interior workings of the cell as something like an automated factory run by digital code, in which the code is processed by little nano machines. So it's information processing, miniature machinery, and it's automated to a degree that it's just mind-blowing. So the idea of the simple homogeneous globule of goo is long ways back in the rearview mirror. It's a completely new day in biology. And of course, when the main evolutionary ideas of Darwin and others were first formulated in the late 19th century, they knew nothing of this. And so this is especially for the field known as chemical evolution, or the theory known as chemical evolutionary theory, the theory that purports to explain how we got from the simple chemicals in a alleged prebiotic environment or soup to the first self-replicating organism. Those theories are at a state of complete impasse. No evolutionary biologist has a compelling, persuasive, or even plausible theory of how you get from chemistry to a full living cell. I know your producer has been also seeking an interview with my colleague, James Tour, who is in the film. Professor Tour has over 850 peer-reviewed publications. He's one of the top organic synthesis experts in the world, also a specialist in nanotechnology, and he's been a very outspoken critic of scientists who present to the public the idea that we understand how the living cell came about through undirected chemical processes, when in fact no such thing is the case. So that little snapshot you just showed gives just a flavor of the complexity. In the film, we go a little bit deeper to the nano scale and show the way the information on DNA is being processed. We show the machines that are being built. Once you see this, you can't unsee it. You realize you almost don't need to make an argument for intelligent design, because you can see that this is obviously an intricately designed system on a miniaturized scale.
I mean, the human body in all its complexity, with everything that's involved, is unbelievably brilliant and complex and a stunning piece of engineering, never mind anything else.